All right, let's jump right in. If you're running on more than one cloud, you already know the power that gives you. But you probably also know the absolute headache of trying to figure out what you're actually spending and where. So in this explainer, we're going to architect a real solution to that exact problem: how to tame those multi-cloud costs and really achieve FinOps mastery.
So, first things first, we've got to understand the beast we're dealing with. We like to call it the multi-cloud cost maze. And maze is the perfect word, because this isn't some simple spreadsheet problem. Oh no, it's a complex, tangled web of data.
So, let me ask you a question, and be honest. When you look at your bills from AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, does it feel like you're just staring into a black box? You see that big, scary total number, but all the details are trapped in their own little silos, they're confusing, and none of them speak the same language. It's an incredibly common and very expensive problem to have.
And here's the real root of it all. Every cloud provider formats their bills differently. The data is totally disconnected. But even worse, it has zero business context. Without that context, you can't answer what should be a simple question like, hey, how much is Project Phoenix costing us across all our clouds? And that's exactly how you get those brutal, out-of-the-blue surprise bills and that feeling of having absolutely no visibility.
This is where FinOps comes into the picture. And look, it's not just a tool you buy. It's a real cultural shift. The whole idea is to bring financial accountability to the cloud's pay-as-you-go world, getting engineers, finance, and business folks all on the same page. But, and this is key, to do that right in a multi-cloud setup, you absolutely need the right data architecture.
So how do we fix this? We build our way out. Let's actually architect the data pipeline that can act as our FinOps command center, the one single source of truth for every dollar we spend in the cloud.
This whole architecture really boils down to three core stages. It's a powerful mantra for getting a handle on cloud costs: ingest, enrich, and visualize. It sounds simple, I know, but as you're about to see, it's incredibly powerful when you put it into practice.
So here's the play-by-play of how this pipeline works. First, the ingest stage. We just pull in all those raw, messy, kind of ugly billing files from all our cloud providers. Second, and honestly, this is the magic step. We enrich that data. This is where we add our own business logic. The stuff that actually matters, like team names and project codes. And finally, we prepare for visualization, where we clean it all up, get it into a standard format, and get it ready to tell its story.
The crucial point here is that we're fundamentally changing what this data is. We're not just collecting logs and moving them around. We are transforming those technical logs into strategic, actionable business intelligence that people can actually use to make decisions.
And this right here, this makes that magic tangible. Just look at the before on the left. You've got this raw data, this instance ID. It means absolutely nothing to your finance team. But now, look at the after. Boom. Suddenly, we know that same resource is part of Project Phoenix, it's owned by the mobile team, it's running in production, and it cost exactly $5.72. It actually has meaning now.
Okay, so we've done the hard work. We've built our data pipeline. Now for the fun part, the payoff, the unified dashboard. This is where all that effort finally comes together and gives us some real clarity.
This is what we call the single pane of glass. No more logging into 3 different portals, downloading CSVs, and trying to mash everything together in a spreadsheet. Nope. It's one place to see everything, clearly and consistently.
And this just shows you the power of that unified view, doesn't it? We can see our costs from AWS, Azure, and GCP, all normalized and sitting right next to each other in one simple table. We can finally compare apples to apples, looking at costs by service and, more importantly, by the teams who are actually responsible for that spend.
And from that unified data, we can create incredible insights like this. We can instantly see our top spending teams across all clouds combined. So the mobile team's at the top. Before, that would just be a number that makes people nervous. Now, we can dig in and see that a huge chunk of that cost is from some really expensive GPUs on AWS for a pilot project. See? That's not an accusation, it's an insight. It completely transforms the conversation from, why is your bill so high, to, is this pilot delivering enough value to justify that cost? That is what real business visibility looks like.
So, we've gone from this chaotic mess of data to a clear, actionable dashboard. But let's remember, the real goal isn't just about having the data, it's about using that data to drive much, much smarter decisions.
When you boil it all down, all of this work, the pipeline, the enrichment, the dashboard, it's all built to deliver one crucial thing: a single, centralized view.
This becomes the foundation for every single intelligent conversation about cloud costs, optimization, and planning.
So, if you remember anything from this, let it be these key takeaways. First, centralize all your cost data. Get it into one place. Second, enrich it with business context that actually matters to you. Third, normalize all the data formats so you can make fair comparisons. Then, visualize it all to make the insights just pop. And finally, empower your teams by giving them this visibility so they can really take ownership of their spending.
And that leads us to the final, most important question. Once you've built this clarity, once you can see everything, the real work can finally begin. The question is no longer, what are we spending? It's now, what will you optimize first?